Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Well, I should be welcoming myself back to my channel because I've been away since I made my first video, and I do apologize. I'm just I'm so nervous and shy to start this new journey. I read, but I don't know. I'm reading to you guys, like a whole audience. I don't know who's going to be listening. It's just weird. But anyway, so I'm here, and I figured I'm going to start on our first series that we're going to start in on. I'm going to show you what we're going to get started on. Give me 1 second. Are you guys ready for this? We are going to start in on 1 second. Drum roll, please. The King of Wrath series. Yes, we're starting on the Kings of Sin. I've already started reading it, but I put it down for a little bit, and I'm definitely gonna pick it back up for you. I got the whole rest of the series for Christmas. Where are they? Here we are. Yeah, so I got all 3 other books. So we have the King of Pride, King of Greed, and King of Sloth. And this is by Ana Huang. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I'm sorry if I butchered it. I don't know if she's listening. She's probably not. I'm not even that famous of a content creator. But yeah, so that's what we are doing. All 4 books. So we will get comfortable. We will light a candle, get in our favorite blankie, and I make candles, so I'm gonna light my own candle that I made. This is watermelon mint, so we're gonna do that. Give me a moment and we'll get settled. Can I quickly just point out and show you guys how cute this freaking bookmark is that I'm using? This is actually diamond art. I am full of hobbies that I do. But yeah, this is a diamond art bookmark. It's so freaking gorgeous. I have 6 of them because it was a 6-pack. But all right, give me 1 more second to get ready and we'll get going. All right, so I got my banky. I even have a kitty joining me. Look at that little sweet thing right there. And I'm gonna light up this candle. Just right there. Have a little nice ambiance there. And we will get going. The King of Wrath. Chapter 1. Vivian. I can't believe he's here. He never comes to these things unless it's hosted by a friend. Did you see he bumped Arno Reinhardt down a spot on Forbes billionaires list? Poor Arnie nearly had a meltdown in the middle of Jean Georges when he found out. The whisper started halfway through the Frederick Wildlife Fund's annual fundraiser for endangered animals. This year, the small sand-colored piping plover was the alleged star of the show, but none of the gala's 200 guests were discussing the bird's welfare over their difficult word, veuve cliquate and caviar cannoli. I heard his family's villa in Lake Como is undergoing a $100 million renovation. The place is centuries old, so I suppose it's time. Each whisper grew in intensity, accompanied by furtive glances and the occasional dreamy sigh. I didn't turn to see who had a normally cool as ice members of Manhattan high society in such a tizzy. I didn't really care. I was too focused on a certain department store heirs as she tottered towards the swag table in sky-high heels. She quickly glanced around before swiping one of the personalized gift bags and dropping it in her purse. The minute she walks off, I spoke into my earpiece. Shannon, code pink at the swag table. Find out whose bag she took and replace it. Tonight's bags each contained over $8,000 worth of swag, but it was easier to fold the cost into the event budget than confront the Denman's heirs. My assistant groaned over the line. Tilly Denman again? Doesn't she have enough money to buy everything on that table and have millions left over? Yes, but it's not about the money for her. It's the adrenaline rush, I said. Go. I'll order banana pudding from Magnolia Bakery tomorrow to make up for the strenuous task of replacing the gift bag. And for God's sake, find out where Penelope is. She's supposed to be manning the gift station. Ha ha, Shannon said, obviously picking up on my sarcasm. Fine, I'll check on the gift bags and Penelope, but I expect a big tub of banana pudding tomorrow. I laughed and shook my head as the line cut off. While she took care of the gift bag situation, I circled the room, kept my eye out for other fires, large or small. When I first went into business, I felt weird working events I would otherwise be invited to as a guest, but I'd gotten used to it over the years, so the income allowed me a small degree of independence from my parents. It wasn't part of my trust fund, nor was it in my inheritance. It was money I'd earned fair and square as a luxury event planner in Manhattan. I loved the challenge of creating beautiful events from scratch, and wealthy people loved beautiful things. It was a win-win. I was double-checking the sound setup for the keynote speech later that night when Shannon rushed towards me. Vivian, you didn't tell me he was here, she hissed. Who? Dante Russo? All thoughts of swag bags and sound checks flew out of my head. I jerked my gaze from Shannon's, taking in the bright eyes and flushed cheeks. Dante Russo? My heart thudded with no apparent reason. But he didn't RSVP, yes? He didn't RSVP, yes. Well, the rules of RSVP don't apply to him. She practically vibrated with excitement. I can't believe he showed up. People will be talking about this for weeks. The earlier whispers suddenly made sense. Dante Russo, the enigmative CEO of the luxury goods conglomerate, the Russo Group, rarely attended public events that weren't hosted by himself, one of his close friends, and one of his important business associates. The Frederick Wildlife Trust didn't fall under any of those categories. He was also one of the wealthiest and therefore most watched men in New York. Shannon was right. People would be buzzing about this attendance for weeks, if not months. Good, I said, try to rein in my sudden runaway heartbeat. Maybe it'll bring more awareness to the piping plover issue. She rolled her eyes. Vivian, no one cares. She stopped, looked around, and lowered her voice. No one actually cares about the piping plover. I mean, I'm sad they're endangered, but let's be honest, the people are here for the scene only. Once again, she was right. Still, no matter their reason for attending, the guests were raising money for a good cause, and the events kept my business running. The real topic of the night, Shannon said, is how good Dante looks. I've never seen a man fill out a tuxedo so well. You have a boyfriend, Shan. So? We're allowed to appreciate other people's beauty. Yes, well, I think you've appreciated enough. We're here to work, not ogle the guests. I gently pushed her toward the dessert table. Can you bring out more Venice tartlets? We're running low. Buzzkill, she grumbled. But she did as I said. I tried to refocus on the sound setup, but I couldn't resist scanning the room for the surprise guest of the night. My gaze skimmed past the DJ and the 3D piping plover display and rested on the crowd by the entrance. It was so thick I couldn't see beyond the outer edges, but I'd bet my entire bank account Dante was in the center of their attention. My suspicions were confirmed when the crowd shifted briefly to reveal a glimpse of dark hair and broad shoulders. A rush of awareness ran through the length of my spine. Dante and I belonged to tangential, I can't say that word, social circles, but we'd never officially met. From what I've heard of his reputation, I was happy keeping it that way. Still, his presence was magnetic, and I felt the pull of it all the way across the room. An insistent buzz against my hip washed away the tingles coating my skin and drew my attention away from Dante's fan club. My stomach sank when I fished my personal cell out of my purse and saw who was calling. I shouldn't take personal calls in the middle of a work event, but one simply didn't ignore a summons of Francis Lau. Move this candle away from my book a little bit. I double-checked to make sure there were no emergencies requiring my immediate attention before I slipped into the nearest restroom. Hello, Father. The formal greeting rolled out my tongue easily after almost 20 years of practice. I used to call him Dad, but after Lau Jules took off and we moved out of the cramped two-bedroom into the Beacon Hill mansion, he insisted on being called Father instead. Apparently it sounded more sophisticated and upper class. Where are you? His deep voice rumbled over the line. Why is it so echoey? I'm at work. I snuck into the bathroom to take your call. I leaned my hip against the counter and felt compelled to add, it's a fundraiser for the endangered piping plover. I smiled at his heavy sigh. My father had little patience for the obscure cause people use as an excuse to party. Though he attended the events and donated anyway, it was the proper thing to do. Every day, I learned about a new endangered animal, he grumbled. Your mother is on the fundraising committee for some fish or other, like we don't eat seafood every week. My mother, formerly an aesthetician, was now a professional socialite and charity committee member. Since you're at work, I'll keep this short, my father said. I'd like you to join us for dinner on Friday night. We have important news. Despite his wording, it wasn't a request. My smile faded. This Friday night? It was Tuesday, and I lived in New York, while my parents lived in Boston. It was a last-minute request, even by their standards. Yes, my father didn't elaborate. Dinner's at 7 sharp. Don't be late. He hung up. My phone stayed frozen on my ear for an extra beat before I removed it. It slipped against my clammy palm and almost clattered to the floor before I shoved it back into my purse. It was funny how one sentence can send me into an anxiety spiral. We have important news. Did something happen with the company? Was someone sick or dying? Were my parents selling their house and moving to New York like they'd once threatened to do? My mind raced through 1,000 questions and possibilities. I didn't have an answer, but I knew one thing. An emergency summons to the Lau Manor never bode well. That is chapter 1. I'm going to try to squeeze in a chapter or two per video, but since I did my whole intro and everything and this chapter, I'm looking at about 14-minute video right now. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this, and we will continue on into chapter 2 and 3. Thank you guys for listening.